karma bilakshanam chalanam vayunam praptir netritvam dravya sabdayor sarvadindriyanam atmatvam vayo karma bilakshanam chalanam vayunam praptir netritvam dravya sabdayor sarva indriyanam atmatvam vayo karma bilakshanam chalanam vayunam praptir netritvam
dravya shabdayoho indriyanam atmatvam vayo karma bilakshanam
netritvam dravya
sabdayor
sarvendriyanam atmatvam
sarvaindriyanam atmanam
vayo karma bilakshanam
vayo bilakshanam chalanam vihanam praptir
netritvam
dravya sabdayor sarva indriyanam atmatvam vayo karma bilakshanam
chalanam vyuhanam praptir
chalanam vayunam praptir
netritvam dravya shabdayoho sarvendriyanam atmatvam vayo karma bilakshanam
Chalanam viyanam praptir netritvam dravya sabdayor sarvendriyanam atmatvam vayo karma bilakshanam
chalanam
vihanam praptir netritvam dravya sabdayor sarva indriyanam atmatvam
vayo karma bilakshanam
Okay.
chalanam vyuhanam praptir netritvam dravya shabdayoho sarvendriyanam atmatvam vayo karma bilakshanam
chalanam vyuhanam praptir netritvam dravya shabdayo sarvendriyanam atmatvam vayo karma bilakshanam
Shalanam. Praptir, allowing approach. Netritvam, carrying. Dravya sabdayor, particles of substances and sound. Sarva indriyanam, of all the senses. Atmatvam, providing for the proper functioning. Vayor, of air. Karma, by actions. Abhilakshanam, the distinct characteristics. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The action of the air is exhibited in movements, mixing, allowing approach to the objects of sound and other sense perceptions, and providing for the proper functioning of all other senses. We can perceive the action of the air when the branches of a tree move or when dry leaves on the ground collect together. Similarly, it is only by the action of the air that a body moves, and when the air circulation is impeded, many diseases result. Paralysis, nervous breakdowns, madness, and many other diseases are actually due to an insufficient circulation of air. In the Ayurvedic system, these diseases are treated on the basis of air circulation. If from the beginning one takes care of the process of air circulation, such diseases cannot take place. From the Ayurveda, as well as from the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clear that so many activities are going on internally and externally because of air alone. And as soon as there is some deficiency in the air circulation, these activities cannot take place. It is clearly stated, Netritvam Dravya Sabdayor. Our sense of proprietorship over action is also due to the activity of the air. If the air circulation is stifled, we cannot approach or place after hearing. If someone calls us, we hear the sound because of the air circulation, and we approach that sound or the place from which the sound comes. It is clearly said in this verse that these are all movements of the air. The ability to detect odors is also due to the action of the air. Okay, so what's that? Maharaj wants to make a statement. Oh, you read this one yesterday too. Okay, so did you read 38 or? Okay. Vayos chasparsha tanmatrad rupam daiveritadabut samudahitam tejas chakshu rupo papalampanam. By interactions of the air and the sensations of touch, one receives different forms according to destiny. By evolution of such forms, there is fire, and the eye sees different forms in color. Because of destiny, the touch sensation, the interactions of air, and the situation of the mind, which is produced of the ethereal element, one receives a body according to his previous activities. Need form to another. His form changes according to destiny and by the arrangement of a superior authority which controls the interactions of air and the mental situation. Form is the combination of activities of the plans of the mental situation and the interaction. So the subtle science of transmigration of the soul, that as the air carries aromas, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. So basically there's the all types of sense perception, and the senses came about when each of the elements became manifest. And each of the elements become manifest according from the most subtlest, beginning with Hankara, false ego, intelligence, mind, ether, air, fire, water, and earth, So each of them with their distinct qualities or sensual perception, as well as the sense to perceive it. And they all occurred simultaneously within a specific structure from most subtle to more gross. Right, so Prabhupada had mentioned that in previous verses. And so then all of space and everything contained within space is all contained within the ether. So this is a really, really big universe. I don't know what I say. I saw something. James Webb Telescope finally discovers and takes a picture of what they're kind of like looking for. But the universe is a lot bigger than that. Actually, it's in the Vedic scriptures, it gives the size and dimension of the universe in terms of yojanas. But they're trying to say light years. So if you were to travel at the speed of light, which now they're trying to say some sort of quantum physics thing, can now go faster than the speed of light, but 93 million miles a second, right? So 93 million miles a second for 1,000 years, right, would be a light year. So they're saying these things are billions of light years away, and they're taking pictures of this stuff. The light has been traveling for so long that universe of the picture of the thing that they got no longer actually really exists. Right. So they're theorizing. Oh, yeah. They're also trying to explain other types of phenomena. As I was listening to Bhakti Baringa Swami lecture this morning. So they were saying, like, Harry Potter is really popular. In fact, the new Harry Potter novel that came out hit the bestsellers list and was sold out in the first day. Right, record-breaking sales and box office. Right, so there's a big interest in Harry Potter movies. Right, and so he was saying because of this, there's like a renewed interest in like magic and witchcraft and telepathy and ghosts and magic spells and magic wands and what do they call those things? What do you call it? Potions. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, the potions, whatever chemicals or potions. So I knew somebody that was in the Wicca, and what they specialize in is they meet with both people, and she makes them a love potion, right? But there's other people, they don't admit to it, but they should talk about it an awful lot, but they never admit to it, and they say they don't do it, so watch out for them. The ones that are upfront about it are good. The ones that are not good. So anyways, it's just like any other religion or metaphysical science, or you're going to find it anywhere. A lot of people are doing this. It's basically a secret society. But the scientists, they're explaining this stuff, like ghosts, or some sort of logical explanation. I looked it up because I wanted to know exactly what they're saying about it. So like the apparition of like hearing sounds or hearing voices, of ghosts, is actually some sort of an animality of the mind that's kind of just making it up like that. Some sort of an animality in the mind that you experience, some sort of a sound from some embodied being that's not really there. And so in Krishna consciousness, in most religions, you're going to hear about these kind of things. Telepathy, clairvoyance. I guess the Christians, they try to say clairvoyance and telepathy is a trick of the devil. I don't think we say that's a trick of the devil, but we say that it's some sort of a mystic city. It's described in the 11th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the root of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains the process of mystic cities. And the only reason it's taught is that it's the process of yoga, or the instructions of yoga, are incomplete without these teachings of the mystic cities. They're saying if you get your cities, don't use them. That the cities are impediment to self-realization. So Swayambhuva, Kardama Muni, he was a devotee. He received his mystic cities and even had darshan of the Lord personally. And he didn't give up his daily practices, his rituals, his yoga, or his devotional practices because he's a devotee. But what they mentioned on this specific point, I guess I mentioned this way back, I guess this was a couple of chapters ago, is that the yogis, when they get their mystic cities, then they open their yoga societies, they stop their yoga practice, they advertise themselves with some sort of Bhagavan, illicitly engage in some sort of rasa leela or go around perform magic. But they say the yogi comes into town, he controls their minds, performs some magic, and then leaves. And then the magic and stuff that he produced gradually vanishes. Have you heard about that? There's a yogi, he made gold and he makes a Shiva linga, but it's unstable matter. It gradually dissipates again after he leaves. Yeah, that was some sort of problem with some sort of chemical alchemy. They've been trying to make some equipment, some mechanical devices to make gold. But what they, from my understand is that they were successful, but only for a short period of time because it was unstable matter and it actually dissipated. But there's a Vedic literature. There's an explanation of how to make gold, and from what I was reading, it was a Dantavari medical scripture. It was on scriptures.com. And basically, it was saying to combine copper and zinc. And they're all soft metals. So basically, it was copper and zinc and some other stuff. But the reason for this is, I guess what Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, alchemy means the process of making gold from bell metals or pot metals. So you need to make a vessel out of gold because you need it for a specific chemical reaction that the gold container would produce. With it's all under high pressure. You put the stuff over Bunsen burners, like that. So that was the reason why they were telling you how to make gold, because you needed golden vessels for the manufacture of medicinal herbal medicines. And but it's explained in there. There was a lot of physicists that were interested in alchemy. From what I understand, Albert Einstein was reading books on alchemy. He also read Bhagavad Gita. So there's the what is it? He says, "I bathed my intellect in the Bhagavad Gita." There's Einstein and Thoreau, right? The Bhagavad Gita verses on the cover of the newspaper when they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Tam I Am, destroyer of the worlds, and it gave the credit Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah. So, in one way, that's kind of auspicious, right? Krishna's word, Krishna's book, inauspicious for the demons. They're destroying themselves. They probably catch it. But during that period of time, was that during World War II, Mahatma Gandhi was currently in the forefront in the press, Gandhi and Gandhi's movement. And Gandhi was preaching Bhagavad Gita or quoting Bhagavad Gita. So something kind of tells me maybe it wasn't out of place for that specific time or that particular period of time. Nowadays, what we got from India and yogis, as Prabhupada had met who was it who came to the hospital? There's somebody that's right off the tip of my tongue. But anyways, there's the uptown yogis and the downtown yogis. Right. Oh, Dr. Mishra. Yeah, there's another one with big, long, flowing hair. Peter Max, the artist Peter Max. Satchidananda Swami. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Satchidananda Swami came to see Prabhupada at the hospital. So Prabhupada, I guess they were friends. He said he was a nice guy. They had good intentions, but they have good intentions, but the process isn't correct. Process isn't right. So, you can practice yoga for some period of time, be some sort of benefits, but that's not actually really the process of yoga. Yoga means to link with the Supreme. is that there has to be at least some aspect of bhakti to it to achieve their mystic cities, their mystic perfections. They also have to. It's required to engage in some bhakti yoga to worship the deity. That it's actually required. Even though their goal is to either be one with the universe or one with God or one with the deity or all the forms are all the same or any path that you take are all of the same paths to the same goal, right? There's a specific hierarchy or there's a specific function where all paths are not worshiping the demigods or worshiping Kali. It's not the same as worshiping Vishnu, or worshiping Shiva or Brahma. There's a specific process, a specific path. So if you want to go to the heavenly planets or if you want to go to Brahma Loka, great sannyasis and brahmacharis or Nastika brahmacharis are eligible to go to Brahma Loka or actually even become a Brahma themselves. But what's stated in Bhagavad Gita is that from the highest material planet to the lowest, all our places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. So yeah, that's the thing that's reminding me. So this is what's taking place. Jai Gaura Nitai Ki Jai. Is that in order to become free from the material entanglement, become free from material illusion and the false conception of bodily conception with the body, aham brahmati, that actual position, aham brahmasmi, that I'm not the material body, I'm spirit soul, is that if you kind of notice, again, we're hearing about the process of creation. This is something that was pointed out. Prabhu was saying that we're hearing about the process of creation in Sankhya philosophy, as it's also explained in Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhumi, Apo, Vayu, right? Elemental elements up to Ahankara, right? Is to, as in the analytical study of the Sankhya philosophy of yoga, as to understand what the material situation is. So even Brahma himself, he was investigating. He was climbing down the stem of the lotus flower from where he was born. He was trying to find out what his position is and what his duty is and where he is, what this place is. And he didn't find anything for a whole millennia. He went back to his lotus flower. So that's actually what Prabhupada, he compares this to the astronomers and the scientists and the physicists and the mental speculators. It's like they have these big, powerful, the James Webb powerful telescopes. They're working on different bases. I guess it's actually working on sound or something. If they have some sort of camera, get visual data, because I think it works a little bit differently than light. Like they're using sound or something like that. So, but still, and they're looking at a really, really big place that's millions and billions and billions of light years away. If you traveled at 93 million miles a second for 1,000 years, is a light year. So you're talking about billions and billions of these, right? So it's really a pretty big estimate. And but still, they're still theorizing. They don't know exactly what is the origin of creation or life. They're giving us some material examples of what they can relate to by observable phenomena. Whether or not the universe existed before the dissolution of the last universe, and that's actually the case. There'll be another universe created after the dissolution of this universe, right? That's given in the Vedic literature, so we can take this information and this knowledge. So they want to say, okay, so then what is the proof, right? Or what could it be that we can examine that could support this, right? So actually, universe is just a little bit different than what they're thinking of according to this specific relative perspective of the earth body conception, this specific bodily conception. Is that the demigods, they're existing on more subtle planes of existences. You can actually even say like on another plane of existence, right? More subtle existence, or the hellish planets. So they're looking at some barren dust and rocks and gases, looking for evidence of hydrogen or oxygen or water or other types of evidence of living organisms, even if it's a molecule, a molecule, living organisms, fossil, right? Anything, right? So, and then that way, they're theorizing hopes. Next statement. So that's what we're talking about. Actually, the way we now hearing again about classification with the material situation through 8,400,000 species of life, and from each specific element, the conception of identification, which in proper identification is Srupa Hoy Nitara Krishna Das, right, rather than Aham Brahmiti, right? So this is actually more of an expanded consciousness, actually, than identifying with the material body and being limited or isolated to that. Being able to understand that there's been a cycle of 8,400,000 species of life, billions and billions and billions of times. And we're being given an opportunity to break that cycle. Otherwise, what our previous situation was, we are going to continue this head on. And in this Kali Yuga, in this specific 20th and 21st century, it's very, very fallen and very, very sinful in this Kali Yuga. And the living entities are so unfortunate, unlucky, misguided, that they're simply going to hell and becoming animals in their next life. So that's not actually really... Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing, too, is that Srimad Bhagavatam principles is that Krishna, who is the original creator, Brahma is the secondary creator, and that the universe becomes populated by the Manusha, so the demigods. So there's a lot of information about the Anunnaki and the Sumerians. And apparently, I guess, at one specific point, I guess the Anunnaki and Sumerians were involved with intergalactic relationships with the ancient civilizations on this planet, right? And so they're actually saying that like they're either the creators or they were like the they had some sort of enzymes or something, or but anyways, at some specific point, whether or not they're demons or they're demigods, from what I understand, they destroyed themselves. They had a war or battle or something. They miscalculated on one of the weapons, and it blew up both of their planets. So now they're kind of just roaming around, staying around like different planets or something. But anyways, yeah, they're giving some information, some sort of higher beings. Oh, so that's the point Bhakti Bringer Swami was saying. The scientists, they're saying that we're evolving, coming up from the simian species, from monkeys to the intelligent human form of life. But it's actually the other way around. He said Drutta Karma had written a book about this and explaining the de-evolution, saying actually we're actually created by higher intelligent living beings in the universe, and we're actually de-evolving into the becoming monkeys. We're losing our intelligence and our proper lifespan and size and actually literally becoming animals, becoming monkeys. So it's the other way around. So are there any comments or questions or any suggestion? You have a question?
Yeah, you were talking earlier in the class about something like it was a long time ago, so I kind of forgot. But it was about it was about hallucinations. Hallucinations, people hearing ghosts and hearing voices and stuff, and how it's made up. So I was wondering where that comes from. Like, is that from the scientists, or is...
Yeah, that's the. I googled it up. I'm going, okay, no. What is the scientists? How are the scientists explaining this away? And since there's such a renewed interest due to like Harry Potter sequels, right? Harry Potter books and movies, right? So now there's renewed interest in the occult and witchcraft and telepathy, so Bhakti Bringa Swami, he mentioned this, that the scientists they're explaining it away. They're giving their scientific explanation for this type of phenomena, that it actually really doesn't exist. That's actually really all in the mind. Was that the question where I kind of got that from?
The question is, like, what is the Vedic perspective?
Oh, the Vedic perspective on it? Yeah, there's ghosts. There's even, we have our exorcists, right? The persons who exercise ghosts. Prabhupada was talking about a story of like a Brahmana who exercises ghosts, and a ghostly haunted person went to him, and what did he say he does? He throws the stick at them. He chants the mantras, and he has the herbs, and he throws a stick. But the ghost had already left the body and entered into the body of the exorcist, of the Brahmana. Right? Prabhupada was talking about that kind of story. Prabhupada was talking about also in a couple of lights how there's the Brahmanas or the snake charmers, and there's the persons who can purify the person from a ghost. When a person becomes ghostly haunted and he speaks all nonsense, characteristic Prabhupada said was that the son, he becomes, he attacks the father, although he doesn't really mean to. I say there's a different phenomenon, but there's even the verses, and I meditate on these verses in the morning, that there's a Lord, he's holding the disc, the conch shell, bow, arrow, sword, shield, lotus flower, and rope, and he protects us from witchcraft, witches, magic, black magic, evil eye, envious serpents, ghosts, yakshas, rakshasas, and brahmana rakshasas with fearful eyes. So we know them as rakshasas, ghosts, rakshasas, brahmana rakshasas. There's also a description in Vedic literature that gives a description of all of the ghosts who are the associates of Lord Shiva. And some of them who don't have heads have their eyes on their elbows or on their knees. There's a description. Yeah, there's a bunch of real knuckleheads, or they're holding their eyes in their hands, like that. Yeah, there are some real knuckleheads. There's some descriptions given of that. So, we believe and we accept ghosts. Those persons who are in deep states of intoxication can be haunted, inhabited by ghosts. Persons who die in the mode of ignorance, so that's one thing that I guess, I don't know what kind of medication they're using now. Some sort of non-narcotic medications. What kind of medications they're hooking up people when people are dying? Before, it used to be a bunch of morphine and stuff. But if they're trying to help them die but now I guess they're trying to keep their bodily living symptoms back to life again or something, whatever they're doing with all these injections and all these tubes and needles and everything that they hook a person up with. But formerly, whatever, if there's been some changes. We used to say that all those drugs and the medications that giving people are preparing them to become a ghost in their next life, so putting them in the mode of ignorance really, really heavily, and really inducing them this real heavy medical narcotic stuff, that they don't even know how to die properly. They don't even know how to leave their bodies in the proper way. They go to hospitals and get all hooked up to all this mode of ignorance stuff. So, we accept these things. There are ghosts. Actually, that's a pretty good thing to kind of keep them away. You're like, honey, there's no such thing as ghosts. You're just being ridiculous, right? There's nothing under your bed. There's nothing in the closet. You don't see anything. You don't hear. Those are rats in the walls. Mice. They're mice in the walls. But I had a dream that this hand was following me around. The house was haunted. We used to feel a presence of this other place. This lady from the church would come over and go, "Oh God, there's something really wrong here, man. This is like a bad spirit." You could feel it. You could just feel it. It wanted you to leave. It wanted you to leave the house. Oh yeah, the wind blew through the house and all the doors were all slamming and the windows were making noises and stuff, and the TV went static. So there's some weird stuff that happen. The scientists want to explain that. There's some sort of anomaly with the wind and some static electricity or something. It happens from time to time. It's occurrence. We know it happens. We don't know why, but it's completely normal like that. So they want to explain it away. Or clairvoyancy or telepathy in the 11th canon of Srimad Bhagavatam explains how you can control someone's mind, or you actually step out of your body, walk around, or step into their body and control them, like that. So, let's explain her to understand one's mind, or to understand another person's mind, right? Before or without the person revealing their mind to you. Or being able to observe. When you're out on Sankirtan, we kind of prime a face. We see people, they're daydreaming, they're in material consciousness, they're in somewhere. If they look at you kind of, the way they look at you, if they look at you kindly, they look, you can tell whether they're inimical or they're innocent or they're approachable, or what to say to them. You know what I mean? Stay away from the guy that you think is going to probably belt you in the, hit you a good one, knock you flat, stay away from him, right? But you never can tell, some of those guys can be the nicest guys in the world, so, take the chance of the roadie, but, with caution, like that, So, any other questions or comments or subjects of discussion? Or, yes, that's another thing that scientists don't even understand. Is what specifically is consciousness? And what is it that we're perceiving? When we perceive ourselves, we perceive each other. There's some sannyasis that said that basically, when we're looking around, what we're seeing is specific manifestations of three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. The specific level or quality of a person's consciousness according to the nature of their activities they're doing in their karma, like that. So maybe we can just end class there then. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam class ki jai.